This young lady is desperate for money, and this 19-year-old guy is a virgin, as his look indicates. He's scared of life, so his rich parents decide to pay her to sleep with him and bring him out of his shell. Hi drama nerds, welcome. The story starts with a young lady named Maddie, who is terrified because a truck driver shows up with a court order to take her car. She hasn't paid her taxes and now she's facing the consequences. She begs him to stop, explaining that she works as an Uber driver and if she loses her car, she'll lose her job and her house. But Gary is furious. After one night, she doesn't call him back. Maddie tries to tell him how much she likes him, hoping to change his mind. It almost works, but then another one-night stand shows up and ruins her plan to seduce him. Furious, Gary takes her car and leaves. Later that day, Maddie, wearing roller skates, is heading to her summer job when she spots her car while Gary is making breakfast. Maddie tries to steal her car, but ends up embarrassing herself in the process. Later at work, she tells her friends Jim and Sarah about her desperate situation, and that if she doesn't work for Uber, the bank will take the house her mother left her. Jim casually tells her that she could sell her blood, plasma, or even a kidney. But Sarah finds an ad. A rich family is offering a brand new car to a beautiful young woman who is willing to sleep with her son, who has never had a girlfriend. Later, when she returns home, she becomes emotional, imagining losing her home, the only thing that still reminds her of her mother. So she decides to give it a try and visits the parents who put up an ad online. Allison and Lard tell her that their son is going to college soon, that he's shy all the time and rarely leaves his room, so they need someone to bring him out of his shell. They tell her that she needs to date him, sleep with him, and then she'll remember a brand new car. But this has to be a secret because they don't want to hurt his feelings. While Percy is alone in his room, watching girls dance on TikTok. The next day, she shows up at the animal shelter where Percy works. She acts like she wants to adopt a dog, but immediately starts flirting with Percy. He freaks out and pulls out his phone, literally avoiding free cat. He's a dog person after all. She tells him that she wants an emotionally damaged dog, and he gives her an ex-cop dog who's addicted to white powder that makes life better. It's okay, Deadpool agrees to the whole thing. Later, while she needs to fill out some paperwork, he asks her why she wants to adopt a dog, and she replies that she can't have dogs on her own, which quickly makes things awkward. As she tries to get close to him, he tells her that he is late and should go anywhere but here. She tells him she will take him where he needs to be, but he tells her he has a bike, which she literally stole from him and forced him into a car. When he sees the equipment in the back, he freaks out and tries to text for help, but she grabs his phone. He accuses her of kidnapping him and sprays pepper spray in her eyes. As she screams, he tries to run away and only sprays a little. No wonder this kid is a virgin. She explains that she didn't kidnap him and wanted to go on a date with him. He helps her with the hose, and when things calm down a bit, he agrees to go on a date with her the next day. Later, with her friends, she explains the situation and asks to borrow a car. When it's time for their date, our guy is dressed like every virgin on the planet. As they talk, the people behind them are playing pool. When someone hits the ball, he freaks out and tells her to go somewhere else. She calms him down and orders some tea laced with alcohol, which he promptly throws up after trying, so they leave the place and go to the beach. He tells her that he is afraid of swimming at night, but she somehow convinces him. He is certainly convinced by her beautiful eyes. As they start swimming, and she tries to have some fun in the water, some kids show up and steal their clothes. She gets out of the water naked, beats them up and gets their clothes back. Back in the water, Percy tells her that she shouldn't have done that, and that they should have called an adult. She gets angry and tells him that he is an adult but he is acting like a child. She says that it was a stupid idea in the first place and decides to go without him. However, he asks her to at least give him his phone, since he is naked and alone on the beach. She refuses to give it back, so he climbs up to the windshield and asks for his phone back, and she starts driving. As he screams for his phone, she tells him that she can drive to Chicago like this. On the way, they come across the police and they begin chasing them. As he begs her to stop, she tells him that she is on probation and cannot lose her license. She speeds onto the train tracks, barely managing to escape the police and a possible death by train. Later, they arrive at her house. She puts on some romantic music and starts dancing for him. While she asks him to hit her, he hits her with his leg. When she sits on his lap, He tells her that she is too heavy, so they switch positions. I know this is really hard to watch, but bear with me. He opens up to her about where his trauma came from. His friends at school found out that he was still sleeping with his parents, and everyone made fun of him. As a result, he had to change schools and became an introvert. Later, they decided to have some fun and played a lot of different games, and over time they started to bond. When their date was over, she met up with her friends. She told them everything, and they were worried that they would get too attached to her, but she told them that he would soon go to college and forget about her. Later, they had dinner at an expensive restaurant, and she convinced him to play the piano where he practices every day. When he started playing, he also started singing a song about her. Finally, some talent shows up and catches the attention of the entire restaurant, and she is touched, as she can already see that he has become very attached to her. When he finishes a song, the entire restaurant starts applauding because he did a really great job. When he returns to his seat, his friend shows up and invites him to a party later, but Maddie interrupts him saying that they are too busy. Later, Percy comments that when he goes to college, he will come over every weekend to hang out with her. She tells him that it is not the best idea, as she does not like long-distance relationships, and Percy is heartbroken. In the car, he starts drinking even though he hates alcohol, and decides to go to a party without her. But she shows up anyway. All the kids look at her strangely, as she is older than everyone else. She starts asking where Percy is, and they tell her that he is upstairs with another girl. She rushes upstairs and breaks the door, and quickly enters the room, only to find him already drunk. She wants to make him throw up, and some of the kids call their parents, who tell her that she shouldn't be there because she is too old. Percy tries to protect her, but accidentally hits her in the neck. Embarrassed and ashamed, they run away from the party. The next day, Percy tells his parents about his new girlfriend and how much he's fallen in love with her. He also tells them that he doesn't want to go to college because his girlfriend is here. When he gets into his dad's car, his parents are furious and call Maddie, telling her that she no longer needs to sleep with him, but just to convince him to go to college. Unfortunately, his dad's phone is connected to the car, and Percy overhears the entire conversation. Heartbroken, his world torn apart, and angry, he wants revenge. He calls Maddie to have dinner at his parents' house and tries to make the conversation as awkward as possible. He makes up an excuse to leave and meets up with his friend. They take the car Maddie was supposed to get and completely wreck it. When he returns, he goes into his room. Maddie goes to check on him, and he kisses her, telling her that he wants to sleep with her. She agrees but didn't feel anything because our guy is too fast. He tells her that he knows her deal with his parents and asks her to leave. Later, Maddie starts crying, as she also picked up some feelings for Percy. While Percy takes his anger out on his parents, he tells them that he's going to college, but they can't follow him or control his life anymore, because he's an adult now. Maddie, on the other hand, gets her wrecked car and starts working as an Uber driver again, but she runs into problems because people don't want to ride in her car, and those who do get really embarrassed. Later, at a bar with her friends, they tell her that they're moving to Florida because they're having a baby soon and they can't live with Jim's parents anymore. Sarah also tells her that she can move too, and that her mom wants her to be happy, even if it means selling the house. Later, she finds Percy and apologizes, wanting to fix their friendship, but he ignores her and gets in his car. So she climbs on the windshield and he drives her that way across the city. Since he couldn't see where he was leading, they ended up on the beach and drove straight into the ocean. He quickly gets out of the car and helps Maddie out of the water. She tells him she's really sorry for hurting his feelings and shows him how much she cares for him. As they watch the sunset, she says, "What would you be without me?" He replies that he'd still be a virgin, of course, and she replies that he's still technically a virgin. She also has one last gift for her best friends. She wants to sell them the house because they love living in this city, and she's selling it to them at a price they can afford. As Percy prepares to go to college, Maddie picks him up and decides to take him there. And that's where the movie ends. Have a good one, and thanks for watching.